So hello guys, today is a super sweaty day and I'm going to do a little bit of a truck update for you. So today is going to be the 2023 truck, trailers, and Moffett update. First things first, we're actually going to start around the other side of this truck because I posted a video a little bit ago talking about some fueling issues I've been having with this truck. And first thing you want to notice is the fuel pressure gauge is no longer on the mirror here. So the thing is, that fuel pressure gauge was leaking fuel out. That's why the glass was kind of wet and cloudy. It was letting air into the system, and because of that it was giving improper fuel pressure rating. The fuel pressure is actually fine. It was just showing up low on the gauge because it was letting fuel out and getting air in. So that solved about 80% of the running issues. I'm still having things going on when I'm pulling a fairly steep hill, working the truck hard on a hot day, and get to the top of the hill, shift gears, and it'll still do it if it's a really strong pull. So there's still something else going on in either the fuel system or the injectors. Still have yet to track it down, but at this point I can't afford to keep bringing the truck off the road and going through the different systems, shelling out a bunch of money, firing the parts cannon, and nothing actually sticking. So that is to be determined, I guess. The reason I haven't made an update video on that until now, I briefly mentioned it in my Ottawa trip video, but the reason I haven't mentioned it is because it hasn't been completely solved yet. So that's why I haven't made an update video, and might as well let you know now. So if we start at the front of the truck here, we'll go through pretty much everything. I haven't had a chance yet to do the 2023 polish of the truck, so everything's kind of cloudy on it. Could be worse. The bumper down here, it's got a couple little tiny rust spots, like right here and there and there. Actually, yeah, I did one of the job sites I was at, I was stuck basically up to the rims in mud, and I was being pulled around by a cat dozer the whole time, and I had a chain on here and it was attached to the dozer over there, and we were pulling along, it was going fine, and then all of a sudden there was a little bit of slack in the chain, and then he kept pulling and it snapped the chain off. It came firing back at the truck. It marked up the bumper down here, and if you look really close, it's actually a little tiny bit of a bend right there. The other day I was doing a job site and it was really tight and I was backing up, and I had a spotter but just barely touched a skid with the side of the bumper. The impact marks, well, they pretty much washed off, but if you look really, really hard down the edge of the bumper, you can see there's ever so slight amount of kink right there where the rest of the bumper is pushed in. Barely noticeable, and because I have the lights and everything else on this piece of angle iron at the bottom is actually pinned straight. So it's just that ever little tiny kink at the top that happened. These get caught up on everything. They're not straight anymore, but that's fine. This thing every once in a while gets bent in and I have to just push it back. The original one is right in here, and it went down to about here, and that got pushed back by pretty much everything. Eventually it snapped and I made this 2-bar system, and that's working a lot better. This light over here, I caught a rock with it and it's cracked. So we'll see how long that'll last. And then the light covers, or the lights themselves under here, both of them are cracked. So this one picked up a rock here at some point. It was my other set. I was behind a gravel truck and he was throwing up gravel all over the place, and I heard the tick and I hit the rock there. This one had a similar instance as the old set, but they still work. They still broadcast a lot of light, and they're gonna get beat up under here, so I'm just gonna leave them until they stop working. This one is because I accidentally had the light switch on in the dash for about half an hour with the light covers on when I was stopped at a truck stop. And of course, when I noticed that they were on, I turned them off, let them cool down, pull off the light cover, and sure enough, this one was cracked. This was after that one was already cracked, so I wasn't too worried about that one, but this one got a fresh crack from that, and the sticker's missing on it now too. These light covers, I painted them black because the lights are mounted upside down. It looked kind of funny with the Hella upside down, but now they're due for another repaint. This stuff lasted quite a while, so I'm pretty happy with the paint. It's the gravel guard stuff you can find at Canadian Tire or whatever the equivalent store in the States is. But at some point I'll deal with those. Yeah, these are due for chrome polish. I have these guys on here. Actually, yeah, you can notice that a couple of them have little tiny marks on them, because last year I had a lady come up on an off-ramp trying to get in front of the truck, and there was no room for her to merge in, and she actually ran into this wheel and took off a bunch of these. I actually lost 3 of the lug covers, and the rest were either fine or scratched up and reusable. Her side door was completely messed up. The police were involved. Everything had an incident report. That was fun. But I got a new set of these, so some of them are brand new, some of them are reused. And now, because I take them off for the winter, they're mixed in around the truck in different places. I picked up some stainless steel chrome polish wheels, so at some point when I get around to polishing the truck, I'm going to get rid of this haze on the front, because these have had, well, these are since 2006. It's just been just tarnished by all the road grime at the front of the breathers here, so it's got that little hazy finish. That should be able to come out. Mirrors were replaced a couple years ago, and they've been holding up. This CB whip was actually taken out a few weeks ago by a turkey vulture. I was going down Highway 402, and there was a turkey vulture in the median, and he was starting to walk towards the road. So I gave a little toot toot of the air horns, and of course he started taking off, and he flew right up into the front of the truck and then just barely cleared the top. I heard him hit the antenna. I think he hit the stack as well, but the stack's been fine. But he took out the top of that antenna. The front driver's glass on this has a whole bunch of window chips on it. I think it's got 6 or 7 now. It's due for replacement, so that'll get done at some point soon. The graphics on the truck, the graphic itself is holding up, but this kind of cream banner in behind is starting to peel away. I had this, I was pressure washing it, and it just started peeling up at the lip there, and same back here. So That's got to get dealt with at some point. I might do this cream stripe in paint instead, but we'll see. My inspection sticker has not fared well against the test of time. It's been 6 months and a few washes at the Streak and Beacon, and whatever degreaser they use, it just eats away at these stickers. So I probably need to get that replaced. The horns down here, they're peeling away as always. They're not so great in the Canadian winters. The salt just eats away at them. Tank, the box needs to be polished. I had all four I had one battery go bad on this, and I ended up replacing all 4 batteries just because, one, I was in a hurry, 2, once one starts going, the rest are probably not far behind. Every once in a while this box likes to sit and get caught here when you put it back on, and so there's a little bit of wear on some of these guys here from where it sits, but not the biggest deal in the world. I finally got these heat shields put on the stacks with the grab iron back, which is really nice to have. I actually missed this a lot. These stacks are about 2 years old. They're Dynaflex stacks. And let me see if I can brighten this up a touch. Anyways, yeah. The bottom of the stack got quite a bit of rust. I went in for warranty, and there's only a 1-year warranty on these, so this elbow is probably going to have to be replaced before the rest of the stacks, because everything else is looking fairly fine. It's just this elbow right here is not faring well. Tanks need to be polished. At the end of the fueling issues video, I was mentioning that there was a bunch of wetness around these, and I cleaned them up. I used the parts cleaner and I think a pressure washer as well, and cleaned them up, and still to this day I can't find any sort of leaking, even though you can see where it was wet, where I didn't get it with the pressure washer. So yeah, I can't find anywhere where it could be leaking along these lines. They are new, I think replaced within the last year. I think last fall we put on all new lines. My bunk heater up here still isn't working, but it's summertime now, so I'm not going to deal with that until I need it. It's always how it goes. I did a patch last summer of the fuel tank because it was leaking at the top of the strap here, and it's still holding up nice. So this tank is due for replacement, but I'm gonna hold on to it as long as I can. A couple years ago I did a video talking about building boxes for organizing chains in these. The boxes didn't hold down too well. Like, I think I just glued them and yeah, used some nails to hold it all together. So I got to rebuild these at some point, make them a little bit more sturdy. So yeah, that'll be done at some point. The back of the truck is what it is. I've been intending to put the name of the truck. It's still a mystery for those who are looking for that. It's going to go right up there. I got a sticker that should be made at some point. And then these are replacement air hoses and electrical lines. The old ones were scraping up against the paint, so this is not so great now. And then taking off the graphics was not too pleasant on this side. I think I had an old razor, and you don't notice the scratches until after it's done. So the whole truck's due for a repaint anyways. But the big issue with these trailers is that they stick farther out forward from the fifth wheel than my last trailers. And because the wheelbase on this truck is so short, that corner or this corner, when you're turning and jackknifing the trailer, it actually gets caught on this electrical line here. so it actually sits right in here, and if you don't get out and move the electrical line over to the other side, when you straighten out, it actually rips the wires out of the plug here, and you have no trailer lights. So I've done it 3 times now, and I think I've rebuilt it every time. I've gotten pretty good at it, I guess, but I need to figure out something with this whole box, because this is where all my trailer electrical issues are coming from, because the water gets in from the top here when it rains. And I've tried siliconing, I've tried replacing both these multiple times, and nothing that I do can get rid of it. So I'm thinking I might just hardwire this line in underneath there, but I have to figure out this issue first. That airbag was leaking about a week ago. I replaced it, and a couple months ago that one was leaking too. So these airbags only last a couple years before they start leaking, so don't expect too long of life from them, I guess. Yeah, I guess we'll move on to the trailer. Oh no, we'll do these here. So I've actually spent quite a bit of money on the suspension of this truck. I got 4 brand new springs on the back of the truck here, 1 on each corner, new hardware, everything. This is it actually helped with a lot of the shaking while bobtailing, which is good, but this spring cap right here, it was shifting over and actually rubbing into the suspension support beam. So I replaced the bushings last April, and immediately they just started sliding out of the spring again. So the proper way to do it was to replace the springs, and finally got that done, and they have not shifted since, right? I'm just trying to look. Yeah, they should. They're all right. The fronts were as bad too, but with the trailer I can't really get an angle on it right now. I've got some slop in the 5th wheel. I've adjusted it, and there's still slop, so it's either I didn't do the adjustment properly, which is very possible, or the slider rails are sloppy and I need to move them a thing or two over, forwards or back. This fender here, if you look at the tires, sorry, my air in the rear suspension drains overnight, because this fitting right in here, there's a little bit of a leak. When you spray it with water, you can see bubbling, and it drops the whole suspension overnight. But if we look down here, I don't know if you can see the tires. Hello. Yeah, there we go. You have to look really hard, but the treads are different, because this tire blew out on me going down the highway, and it actually messed up the fender a little bit. You can see it's ever so pushed out over here. There's the dent there, and this whole piece here. It's actually, come on, it's actually rubbing into the tire here when it's sitting. Right there is the point of contact. So I got to pull that out, but I got a replacement used tire. These 4 drives are due for replacement. These ones are pretty close. I was hoping, hello. I was hoping I'd get 4, or I was hoping I would get to the winter on these tires, but they might need to be done before that. We will see. These ones should last the winter. I might move them to the rears and then put fresh ones on the front, just because the rear axle wears the tires down faster than the front axle. I do have one light out on this pod. I'll have to fix that eventually. This is all due for polishing, even though it's less than a year old. I had this chain off the rails and it was dangling down here and rubbing against the box, so I got to clean that off. The inside of the box is a mess. I actually have two side boxes in the barn over there that I'm going to put on the other side to put all my straps, and then that stuff will be cleaned out, and then I got to figure out something to do with the bungees still. The snow fencing might stay in here. It could go under the landing gear. I've seen it done there before, but this is a mess, and it's going to be cleaned up at some point, but it's not a super duper priority at this point. I also don't like this lock, how there should be some sort of pin that keeps it from dropping down, but it just flops down, so you have to, it's almost a two-handed operation to lock this up. Oh, the Moffett. We'll get to that in a second. Everything's been fine with the trailers. I mean, they're brand new. They're a little bit dirty right now because there was just a touch of rain on my way back. This brickboard box under here, I built it in January and February and installed it. It's held on with 4 large bolts, but I got smaller bolts to put up in here because I measured it slightly wrong and didn't account for this piece sticking out that far. So I had to cut a notch in on each one of these ends, and that only leaves room for a small bolt to go through there. So I have to do that eventually. But in my design, there was nothing that would stop it from swaying back and forth this way. So I actually had to clamp it to the frame, but you don't want to weld to the frame, so I used just a C-clamp. This one actually fell off, which isn't great, but I have the material in the garage or in the barn to build a center support that will go in here and keep everything from moving around. I just need to get around to doing it. Everything has been crowned on the inside, and so hopefully it should keep the rust at bay because these are brand new trailers. I do wish these airlines had one of those pull string easy release valves, because I have to get vice grips on these to drain the air out of the tanks. It's kind of annoying, but better than not doing them at all. So yeah, everything it's brand new trailers. There's not a whole lot to it. They need a polish. Everything needs a polish all the time. Always needs cleaning. So I guess let's move on to the Moffett, the last piece of the puzzle here. Well, I guess we could do the interior and the engine bay of the truck there too, so that'll be coming up. This is due for a greasing today as well. When I first picked it up, the rail system that I had borrowed for this, these forks are too wide, so I actually had different forks on them, and I had to wait until this system came in. What is going on here? Are you moving around? I hope not. Although you have, yeah. Okay, I need to adjust these sliders because they're moving around, I guess. Oh yeah, it's hitting on that now. Okay, I got to adjust that. Yeah, so this rail system to mount the Moffett is brand new. These forks sit a little bit differently than the other forks, so I actually have to put this little piece of metal on the unlock bar. And I need to paint that, so that's going to get done today. But yeah, I finally got these mounted on, and they were too long, so I had to cut off a couple inches of them and shorten them up so they stay within the side of the rub rail. So this slider piston isn't so great. It doesn't side shift to the left very well. I actually got a new pump and transmission put in this, and it's still not sliding well, so I think it's the piston itself. But one thing at a time, slowly but surely, this is going to be a good machine. I did replace the seat. It has a suspension seat on it now. Probably the best thing I ever did on this thing, because it is bumpy. Yeah, like just go through and replacing a bunch of things and making it a good unit. I need to figure out some way to actually latch this hood down, because the insides of it, the inside latch is missing off of it, and I also got to do some rust work on it, but that'll come in time. I got a new flashy light because the old one was broken. All the lights work on it now. I have this cover. It's right over there on the front of the trailer. I got to put that on there at some point, but these are stripped out, so I need to figure out some other way to mount it, which is fine. This ID plate is held on with one rivet right now, so I got to deal with that. Yeah, it just keeps on keeping on, I guess. This handle's now acting up too. It's getting sticky, so I gotta lube that up somehow. The seat here still hasn't been replaced, of course. I have my hat, my long sleeve light sweater for the winter, keep the sun off the arms, a bag of apples, and my not fitting fifth wheel lock, or I guess kingpin lock. Everything else is fine. We're sitting at 1.975 million kilometers. Pretty soon it'll be at 2 million kilometers. That'll be fun. Steering wheel needs new paint. All the dash trim has that classic 2006 379 paint fading. I would like to take this all out and paint it the cream white to match the steering wheel and the stripe on the outside, but that's on the back burner of things to do. My sunglasses, which I have had in my trucks since 2015, went missing. They're somewhere, so I had to buy a new pair of sunglasses. I prefer the old ones, but these will do, I guess. Shakeometer 5000 is still installed, and it's not running right now. The bunk is what it is. I think that's my grease gun. I took it with me intending to do it on the last trip, but I just didn't. This printer has been acting up with my computer. It doesn't print my documents half the time, which is a pain. This is probably a complete mess in here. Yeah, so I have my cleaning stuff up top here, and the wood trim. I built all these shelves, and the wood trim on this came off, so everything starts dumping out. I have my Milwaukee vacuum on the bottom there, the battery charger. I have the drill for doing up my straps on the reels in the side box. And this is the closet. Not that you can see much, but it's pretty messy in there. My fan, which is great in the summers to keep you cool, hopefully, because the AC stopped working on this truck. I need to get that figured out probably this week sometime. If I have a day where I'm not working, I'll probably get it into the shop and get the AC system diagnosed, because it was a hot week with no AC. So this lock is also not great. I got to figure that out at some point too. My side box here is also a bit of a mess. I have my corner protector carpets, plastic corner protectors. The drill is there. All you need is just a little hook on the end to put in the reels. Here, I'll show you. Like when you have the straps, you take it out here, you throw it over to the other side, and then you put it here, and you want to wind it up. You just take your drill, you need to have room, put it in there, ow, put it in there like that, and just wind it up, and it's good to go. Go. Yeah, I do have plans to build organizers for this, but again, it's on the back burner compared to everything else that needs to be done on the truck, because this is a mess. So this is the heart of the operation, Cat C15 MXS. A single turbo on the other side. This just started happening recently again, where the front, what is it with the lighting on this? The front timing cover is starting to leak along here again. It was siliconed and that was fine for a bit, but it's starting to leak again. Might be one of these bolts is loose, but I'll have to check that when I start working on the truck after this video. The power steering pump down here has been leaking forever, literally forever. I've had the lines replaced. I don't think the pump's been replaced, but it's always just had that little weepage going on. And yeah, it's a little bit crusty under the truck because of all the leaking. Every once in a while I try to clean it up, but I had the kingpins done at the same time as the rest of the suspension. Where are we looking on the camera? Yeah, right in here. It is due for greasing. I am doing that afterwards. As far as the fueling issues is concerned, the whole fuel system has been gone through. No leaks are detectable. I've had this replaced. The pump's been replaced. Fuel filters, of course. Yeah, still just has that shake, so it could be injectors or something else. I don't know at this point. The wiring has been replaced. I did a video on that earlier. Actually, it was last year, I believe. Yeah. The fan hub is leaking a little bit of air, so in the winters it takes a while before the fan shuts off. Not the worst thing in the world. Air to air was replaced last spring or last summer when the turbo went out on it. The rad was replaced a year or two ago, I think. Oh, one job I need to do today is rewire this starter, because I'm having every once in a while it doesn't like to start, whether it be slow crank or the one day I had no power to the ECM. So one of these lines gives power to the ECM, and it was just not getting a good connection. I tried a bunch of things, and it wasn't until I just wiggled all the wires around in here that it fired right up, and it's been fine ever since. So something and all that. Yeah, it's just basically rewire, replace all the little wires and rewire the whole thing and make it clean for another couple years. The problem is in the winter all the salt and stuff gets kicked up right into there and just makes a mess of everything. One of the best things you can do for your truck is don't drive it in the winter, but that's not really an option around here. So finally, this side of the engine, you can see the new turbo. It was replaced last summer when it blew up. This is the original elbow to the truck. It's getting pretty rusty because for whatever reason, salt and stuff likes to come in, congregate around this lip here and come down. You can see it's leaks on the back of the engine there and onto the headers, or I guess manifold, and same with over here. But that's just the way it is, I guess. These alternator lines still haven't been replaced. There's a little bit of greenage on them, but we'll see how things go with it. I'll replace them eventually someday. Again, the AC is out currently, so this ancient little is that the compressor? I don't know. Whatever part of the AC system is, that could be the issue, in which case it'll get replaced. That belt on it is ancient as well. Come on, give me a focus. You can't see it, but it's got all sorts of, like, the cracks and stuff in the belt itself. But the main accessory pulley, every couple months I have to replace it. Now, the last time it went bad, this pulley here, this idler pulley, started making noise, and I got it replaced in the Peterbilt parking lot, and I haven't had it blow since, so maybe it's fixed. I doubt it. It just hasn't been its time yet. But yeah, along with the shakes I've been having, the dampener right here, it was replaced in 2020 when the engine was rebuilt, and the shakes started after taking the front timing cover off, which would involve taking that off. So it shouldn't be bad. My only theory is that if it was taken off and put on in a different orientation and it already settled to what it was beforehand, could that cause a shake? I don't know. It also, yeah, I'm getting fueling or injector issues definitely alongside that. So I haven't replaced that, but I think it's something else still, for those that are saying it could be the dampener. At some point, when I have enough cash, I can probably fire the parts cannon and just replace it to see if it helps at all, but I'd rather not if it's not the problem, you know. Well, there you go, guys. Another sweaty truck update for 2023 is in the books. So I've probably missed a whole bunch of stuff on it, but for the time being I'll have to address that as I go along with other videos on this channel. So if you like what you see, consider subscribing, liking the videos, all that fun stuff. Let me know what you think in the comments, and catch you at the next one.